the light.
Okay. Should I start over?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Today is April 20th, 2026, at 7:30 PM. This is the Township of Parsippany's Planning Board meeting. Announcement is made that adequate notice has been given and that is being conducted in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 et sec of the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act. Nora, please call the roll.
I'm sorry.
I just did the same thing, it's all right.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Mayor Desai,
Present.
Mr. Dinsmore,
Here.
Mr. DiPiero,
Here.
Mr. Napolitano,
You're
Mr.
here.
Yeah.
I can't hear at all down here, so I don't know what's going on. I can't hear you, sorry.
Mr. Patel,
Here.
Mr. Shaw,
Yep.
Chairman Von Aiken.
Here.
We also have our board planner, Mr. Ryanson, board engineer, Ms. Knust, and our board attorney, Mr. Wenzel.
All right. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. This meeting is open to the general public. We have two items on the agenda for this evening. Is there anybody in the general public that would like to bring anything to the board's attention which is not on the agenda for tonight? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion. Our first application is application 26503, Rutgers Builders LLC. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Joseph O'Neill of Garofalo and Ruggiero on behalf of the applicant. I understand we had a notice problem. What I would like to do is vary this at least 2 weeks to allow for renotice. But I'd also like to preserve the notice that we already did in publication today.
Okay.
Right, and Chairman, I've been made aware of this from our board secretary. There are a few corrections to the notice, which I'm sure Mr. O'Neill is going to take care of, so he doesn't have to send the entire notice packet. So this is, the notice that did go out in enough time. So if any member of the public is here with regard to application 26503 Rutgers Builders LLC, that matter is not going to be heard tonight for the lack of complete notice. The open notice items Mr. O'Neill is going to take care of. Nora, what date were we looking at for Mr. O'Neill?
May 18th.
So May 18th. So this is the notice for those who have received notice that this matter will return on May 18th. There's no need to renotice the ones that were perfected. Mr. O'Neill knows what to do. He's been around the block enough times.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and see you back on the 18th then.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Next application is 26502 Toll New Jersey LLC. Applicant, please come forward. This is the third presentation before the board, correct?
Yes, it is,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, board members, professionals, members of the public, John Inglesino here, again on behalf of the applicant. Am I good here, Nora? On the mic? On behalf of the applicant, Toll NJ1 LLC. As Chairman indicated, you may recall, we've had two hearings on this application for 178-unit inclusionary development, the first being on March 16th, and the second on April 6th. You heard testimony from the applicant's engineer, Rob Mascello, regarding civil engineering, and John Korak regarding traffic on March 16th. You heard testimony from Matt Charmel regarding architecture on April 6th. Tonight, as promised, we are bringing back Mr. Mascello regarding revisions to the engineering plans based on comments received on March 16th. We also have Alex Doherty as our planner to conclude the applicant's case on planning for variance and waiver relief being sought. So it is our intention, as we sit here today, to try and conclude this application tonight if we can. We've received 2 reports since the last meeting, although I was just told that there may be a third that we haven't seen. The first was dated and received on Friday, April 17th, and that's from the fire subcode official, Brian Rickey. We're generally okay with that report. There was one provision in there which was a request for 26-foot width roads, which we can't do. The New Jersey Residential Site Improvement Standards requires 24-foot roads, and as we all know, that the RSIS governs road widths and all of the other things that it governs. So the municipality cannot impose a more onerous or greater requirement than what the RSIS requires, and the RSIS requires 24-foot roads. The next report we received today from Chief Ryan Masker of Mount Tabor Fire District. The report, incidentally, is dated March 17th, but we got it today. And the only request there that we can't really live with is number 18, which requests that no EV chargers be installed on the property, and if they are, they be installed a minimum of 150 feet from all the structures. That runs afoul with state policy and regulations that entitle people to EV chargers in their garages if they want them, so we can't comply with that request. Now, I do understand that there was a separate report on the new plans that was submitted by the board's engineer. I have not seen that report. I don't think we have seen that report. What I would suggest that we do, since Mr. Michello was here, hopefully his presentation will be comprehensive enough to address whatever comments are in the report, but if not, let's hear the comments and see where we are. All right? So without any further ado, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call it Mr. Rob Michello. Mr. Michello, you understand you're still under oath, that's correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Has there been any change to your license or professional qualifications since the last time you testified on March 16th?
No, there's not.
Why don't we just, for the record, why don't we just have him state and spell his name for the record?
Sure. Robert Moschello, Moschello, and the business address is 265 Main Street, Gladstone, New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. Michelle. You remain under oath and
Great.
Remain as an expert in the field of civil engineering.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Mizell. Okay, Mr. Michello, why don't you please testify and explain the changes that were made to the plans for the board?
Great, excellent. I have a few exhibits that I'm going to utilize this evening for that. So what number are we up to in the count?
810.
810.
So that's what we show. We'll rely on your. 810.
So for the record, this is entitled Site Plan Rendering. It's actually dated March 16th, 2026, and it's revised April 20th, 2026, so I'll mark that. And we'll note that 810 for the record. So this is an updated version of the rendering that I presented at the first hearing for the project. Again, just for, just for reference purposes, north being up in the top left-hand corner of the plan here, we have Littleton Road on the, I'll say, the southeast side. You have Gate Hall Drive coming in off of that wraps around to Route 10, which is just off the bottom of the page. And we have one Gate Hall to the north, 3 Gate Hall to the west, and then our project site, which is, of course, 4 Gate Hall here in the middle of the plan. So basically, this plan is just an updated version of what was previously presented. And for the most part, the site layout and most of these site accoutrements remain unchanged. The number of units remain unchanged. The road layouts remain unchanged. Basically, what we did was we updated more of the specific engineering details on the plans themselves. And just to go through some of those items that we updated on there, first and foremost was we updated the parking counts to be consistent with the comments that were discussed in the review letters. But to just put on the record, overall, the parking requirement for the project is 421 spaces, which we clarified that and referenced everything as townhouse units as requested. So we need 421 parking spaces are required for the project, and we are proposing for the project 479 spaces. So we clarified that on the plans to note what was being proposed for the overall project. We also cleaned up the electric vehicle parking requirements that were on the plans, and we noted now we have 13 surface EV parking spaces that are spread throughout the parking development on site. And of those 13 spaces, one is now an ADA accessible EV charging space as required per the state statute. Thank you. They'll just passing out a copy of the plan there for the board, so you can see that.
It's just a smaller version of what you already have up on the
Correct.
board. Okay.
As far as some of the zoning information goes, we did update on the cover sheet. We removed the request for the RSIS guest parking de minimis exception, since that's no longer required. And then we also updated the sign variance information, which I'll get to when I talk about the signs in a little bit.
Is that a variance or a waiver on the sign?
I believe it's a variance. So, some other little items that we cleaned up on the plans. We updated the sidewalk network in terms of all the ramps at the intersections and the crosswalks. You're not really going to be able to see that on the smaller scale plan you have in front of you, but that was a comment that was in the review letter, so those have been updated. We added additional striping for crosswalks and stop bars and lane striping on the plans. We also added to the plan, and you should be able to see it on here, a sidewalk connection from the southeastern corner of the project around the back of the units to Odell Road. That this way residents who are there can walk to the businesses on Odell Road. So we added that to the plan. Yes, with the staircase. There's probably some grading tweaks that need to be done ultimately, but we show that on the plans now, and that's been added to there. The other major change that we did was we updated the landscaping in certain areas on the plan. So just to go through the overall landscaping numbers that we updated, that's relative to the overall plan you see here. Originally, we were removing 195 trees on the original demo plan. There was some comments from the board about some of the, I think they were pear trees along Odell Road, that you felt that were probably going to be in bad shape over time. So there are 14 of them. We marked those to be removed. So now we're up to a total of 209 trees to be removed when you include those pear trees. That's noted on the plans. We are now proposing, with the new trees that we're planting, we're proposing a total of 263 trees that are now proposed, whereas before we're at 239 trees. And when you break that down into some smaller numbers, we had 58 deciduous trees originally, now we have 70, so an increase of 12. We had 107 evergreen trees, we're now up to 110. We had a couple more evergreen trees. We had 74 ornamental trees, we now have 83, so we added 9 more ornamentals. And we added additional shrubs. Originally, we had 75 shrubs, now we have 116 shrubs. Primarily, the change is mostly we're adding some additional shrub plantings around the retaining walls. In this grouping of homes here on site, we added additional shrubs along Littleton. We filled in some additional plantings along Odell Road to enhance that buffer there now that we took down the pear trees. And then some additional trees spread throughout the site. So all told, we have an additional 48 trees that we are proposing now compared to where we were before. Another change that was made to the plans was the lighting plan was updated. I know there were some comments in one of the review letters about the distribution of lighting across the proposed surface parking spaces that are on site. Those are the parking spaces that are generally around the loop road for both the affordable units and the regular stacked units that are around the middle portion of the project site here. We redistributed the lighting and made sure we had uniform lighting levels across those parking spaces. So we ended up adding an additional 6 light poles for a total of 38 now. So we have a better uniform lighting plan across the site, as was mentioned in one of the review letters. Those lights will still be dark sky compliant, LED light fixtures and the like, but we just redistributed the lighting levels a bit more. Before I move on to my next exhibit, I do want to point out that while it's not shown on the exhibit itself, we did update some sign information. There are 2 signs proposed for the project, as I testified to. One is when you come in along Road A over here, And the second one is if you come in from 3 Gate Hall from the hotel, with the intersection of Road B and that access drive, there's a smaller sign there. We confirmed the size of the signs, 84 square feet and 59.5 square feet, which are both larger than your ordinance requirements of 24 square feet, so there's a variance required for that. We have 2 signs where your ordinance only permits 1, so that's also a variance as well. We did note on the plans that the sign face would typically be a black and white color sign face. Supports for the sign will be black, and the base of it will be a stone veneer that'll match the architectural selections of the buildings themselves. So that detail is updated. It's also going to be uplit with a ground-mounted light.
And
as well.
are these signs, from a size perspective, representative of the size of signs you would see for communities such as the one being proposed?
For this type of community, for this number of units, these signs are representative of the square footages you would see for those types of communities, yes. And those details were updated on the detail sheet as well. My next exhibit, and this is A11 for the record. This is entitled Foundation Planting Exhibit, dated April 20th, 2026. And on our site plans, there was, first in the review letters, there were comments about looking at the different landscaping around the units for the foundation plantings and how that could affect whether you have a north-facing, south-facing, east or west-facing unit, and the types of landscaping that could be around those units based upon those orientations. So where we originally had 3 layouts, initially we updated our detail sheets to have now 7 different foundation planting layouts that show whether your units are facing south or north or east, and how they would be planted in terms of the groupings of shrub massing and mulch beds and the like. So this plan that's being handed out now represents those details that were on our detail sheet, which is colorized for the board, and we have here, the different types of shrub plantings and the quantities and so forth. I'm not going to go into the individual details, but pretty much what we're showing on there now are a mix of I was going to say a mix of sumac, junipers, hydrangeas, and the like around the site for the foundation plantings that are shown there, as well as some hollies and so forth. So again, it's just a different breakdown depending on which way the buildings are facing and how that landscaping is being coordinated on those units. We also, while it's not an exhibit, we also did go through and update the grading plans with cleaning up some of the grading that was on there that the engineer had comments on, as well as the stormwater management system. We added some additional calculations and clarified a number of the comments that were in the letter as well. And that was addressed in our responses to the board. The last exhibit, and I actually have 2 exhibits here. I'll hand them out both.
Are these together, or are these 2 separate exhibits?
They're 2 separate exhibits, but they represent sort of the same thing. First one is Emergency Vehicle Turning Exhibit A. This will be A12 for the record, also dated April 20th, 2026. And I'm going to mark it now, and I'll hand it out. Emergency Vehicle Turning Exhibit B, mark that as A13 for the record, and for 2026. I'll hand them both out. So what we've prepared here is Exhibit A and Exhibit B, which represents what essentially would be the turning movements for a full-size ladder-type fire truck that would be able to navigate through the site. We did get a review letter today from the fire chief, as Mr. Inglesino pointed out, and that review letter did have on page 3 the dimensions of your township's ladder truck. We did not have those dimensions when we ran this model, but we used what is typically one of the largest trucks that we know in the Morris County, Somerset County area. And when we checked the dimensions versus what your fire chief provided to us, the truck that we show on here is just slightly larger by a few inches. So in terms of representing what would be the turning movements, this was representative of what would be a slightly larger truck. So if this truck can maneuver the site, that truck would also, the township truck would also be able to maneuver the site. And this basically just shows the truck turning movements. If you were to come in from Gate Hall and drive down Road A and then navigate around through the site and then head back out again towards Gate Hall Drive, and it shows that the truck can make that maneuver through the site, both in terms of going down the major loop roads and also going down Road E. And if it can make those movements, it can make movements around the entire property based on the geometry of the roads. So these plans would certainly be included as part of supplemental drawings with the drawing set, should the board act favorably upon the application. And I believe that concludes my direct testimony on the plan changes.
Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do our professionals have any questions for the witness?
I appreciate you making so many of the changes that we had requested in our initial review letter. I know that you don't have the benefit of the revised review letter. Apologize for that. There were several items that you had mentioned in your response letter that would be taken care of at a future date if you receive favorable votes. Were there any of the items that you feel you wouldn't be able to comply with or make changes or?
From an engineering and planning perspective, from an engineering comments and whatever planning comments refer to the site plans, I don't believe there's anything that we wouldn't be able to address.
Okay. One thing that I'd like you to describe a little bit, I recall one of your comments about the existing wet pond. There were some initial concerns about changes that were being made to the wet pond, and it seems like that's been revised, and now there's not going to be changes to the wet pond. Is that correct?
Yes. When we did the initial stormwater calculations, the way we had looked at it in terms of determining where the reduction factors should be calculated and so forth, once we went back in and based upon the comments that were in your letter, and then we went back and took a closer look at things, we were able to modify the analysis point to be where the water enters the pond, not where it's leaving the pond. And we were able to show that with the water, where it enters the pond, that we'd be able to meet the state required reduction factors at that point, therefore negating the need to make any modifications to the pond itself. And then show that there's no impact to either the flow out of the pond or the water surface elevation of the pond based upon the new development.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was just going to say, and I'll defer to Lear on this, because this is more the engineering. There are certain comments in here that talk about testimony. I just want to make sure that we nail them all, because assuming this is approved, and we're in resolution compliance, I don't want to go 6 months from now and say, oh, was testimony provided for certain items. So can you bear with me a second while I go through here? Anything that says testimony, I just want to make sure we nailed it down. Okay, page 14. Site plan comments. Did we testify about trash and refuse previously?
I think the architect testified with regard to refuse. Number one, there'll be a private hauler. It will not be the township providing the service. We do anticipate a Municipal Fair Services Act agreement at a future date, but the service will be provided by the association.
Okay, so that satisfies that. So, item 2 on site plan comments was addressed tonight about the signage. Okay, so that's testimony is provided. About the extension of the existing this is comment number 3 was addressed. Comment 4 talks about testimony about extension of an existing patio. Is there about any agreements between property owners for the proposed work? I don't even know if that was addressed.
That was discussed in the first meeting.
Is that the pond area too? Or no, this is the patio area?
The patio water feature, I think, right?
Yeah, where they connect and they
Yeah,
had
that,
discussed that there's ongoing agreements.
yeah, so we have to get an easement for that to do that work, so that'll be a condition of
So
approval.
it's comment addressed during testimony?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I like.
And condition.
Okay, you testified, I mean, either you or the architects already testified about proposed screening for the transformer?
Yes.
Yeah, I covered that. yes.
That was on the first go-around, so
Yes.
that was addressed. Okay, so grading comments, I'm just seeing anything that says testimony, I just wanted to make sure that we get that. Comment address, comment, so, jumping to page 16, item 3, right top. It was testimony provided about the delineated wetlands, I believe it was, about DEP filings.
Yes, we testified that there were no
That was
wetlands.
on
in
the
pond,
first
yes.
hearing.
Yeah, that was in the first hearing, yep.
This should have been crossed out in the first place, but we're doing it now, okay? Okay.
Attorney Agostino, just for my edification, because I'm an associate here at that first meeting. On those delineated wetlands, is there a filed, wetlands delineation yet on this one, or
No,
we're
the
still
testimony
waiting
was
for
that there were no wetlands.
I'm
The
sorry?
testimony was that there are no
Are no
wetlands.
wetlands. Oh, well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a positive.
that's easy. Okay, so we're going
Knocks
quicker
out.
now because there's a lot of comments addressed, okay? No testimony. I'm all the way on page 19, so. Okay, on page 20, item 1 on traffic, testimony's already been provided about peak hour trips. That was a traffic comment and traffic and,
Yeah, so there was extensive testimony by Mr. Korak at the last meeting with regard to traffic. I think he addressed all of the issues that were in the reports and answered all questions from the board professionals, and the public.
I concur with that, but that's just one of those we'd like to cross out. Okay, I had some minor comment, there was item 9 about the CVSC and the comments and how many calculations. I think I figured that my difference with the engineer was, he was rounding on all of the categories,
Right.
and I don't round until the end, and that's where we were coming up with 3. I mean, it's a minimal difference, I'm not saying de minimis,
Right, right.
but as long as we agree with what is required, I think this is semantical because you're over parking as it is.
Correct. Yeah, we are
So
over parking by quite a
It's just
few.
making sure the information's correct. If there's anything that you can't live with in item 9, speak now or forever hold your peace. It's basically just reconcile the numbers.
Yeah,
You
that's
good
fine.
with that? Okay.
That's fine, yes.
It's this one here about item 11 on page 23, it says testimony should be provided about the on-street parking spaces. I do recall whether it's going to be assigned to residents or designated for visitors only. I think it's a combination of both.
It's assigned to residents.
So it's assigned to
It's assigned to residents.
Okay, so there we go. I circle it, it's done. Okay.
On that, though, there is dedicated visitor parking, I believe, too. Is that correct?
No, there was no dedicated, they're telling me there is, okay.
There will be designated visitor
All
parking.
right.
Yes.
Will that be identified just?
Yes,
to make
it
sure?
hasn't been yet, but it will be.
Okay.
Okay, I'm flying down here now, almost on the last page. 'Cause most of these are just for revisions, okay. And I think we have checked everything that have to deal with testimony. So we
Great.
don't have to worry about that again and loop back and not forget 6 months from now. Thank you.
All right, very good. Does that conclude questions from our professionals?
Just
Mr.
one,
Wenzel?
yeah, I'm trying to find, and maybe it's because this is a smaller version of what's up there as your exhibit A10. But you said there is an EV spot that you are designating as ADA
Yeah.
compliant.
Yes.
Can you just point where that is on A10? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out, yeah. I need,
Well,
yeah, 'cause,
while he does that, one thing that I would just advise to the board and council is that we've already seen with the fire department's letter about asking for EV locations. I've always recommend that these would be illustrative and subject to final approval by the fire department, because this is a very sensitive subject.
Well, again, except that we can't,
Well, I know you've
Yeah.
already put on the record that
Yeah.
particular clause, but I normally say that because if we have it, say, on the northeast, and he says, can you move it 3 down, I would hate you to come back to say we got to amend the site plan because we can't put it exactly where we
yeah, we'll coordinate with the fire department and your other professionals
Okay.
with regard to items that are relevant to their area of jurisdiction.
Is that satisfactory, council?
yeah, what I'm really concerned about is, in terms of the ADA spot, I see that we have ADA, or the old days we used to call them handicap spaces, but, is the EV handicap space, that's just like any other space, it's van accessible?
Well, it is, and there's 2 spots on the site plan.
That's the real question is it van accessible?
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes, it is.
the rubber meeting the road, not to
It
use a
meets the
pun.
van accessible requirement.
Okay,
And-
that was the only concern.
And while we're on it, it's also one of the closer spots to the handicap, the wider floor plan, which I believe is unit type G.
Can you just show them, Rob?
There's 2 locations there. We have 2 locations where it can go based on the grading of the plans.
Right.
There's a location up here by the intersection of Road A and Road B, but there's also a location over here on Road C. So that's probably the closer one to that unit G.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Does that conclude testimony from our professionals, or, I'm sorry, questions from our professionals? Okay.
I think that's fine. All I'm going to say is that before the end of the evening, if you just look through that letter and see if there's anything that's problematic, say so now, because once again, because if you're approved, it's going to become a condition of approval.
Yeah. We don't have a copy. Do we have a copy of the letter, the letter that came out today from your engineer? Because we know a letter came out, we just don't have a copy.
Yeah, we issued it on Friday. I don't know.
We just never received it, and I'd like Mr. Michello to review it.
I'll give you my copy. There was an issue with escrow, and the review got held up, and then today, honestly,
Nora, you have a hard copy, Nora? So,
let me get it.
Email.
copy, then Mr. Michello will review that. And then we'll give it back.
Okay.
I mean, I think the board, I'm fine with hearing Mr. Doherty if he's coming up next while you
Yeah.
review that letter, so.
Yeah, you don't need to. Don't wait for me to review it.
Mr. Doherty come up now.
Well, if we could just have questions from the board for the, yeah.
I know Mr. Doherty's very excited to come up and testify. but he'll-
He's looking-
Yeah, you could tell, he's got that lean, hungry look, but, he'll calm himself.
Okay, questions from the board? Any? Go ahead, Nick. Sorry, Mr. Napolitano.
That's not, please, that's fine. I can hear that all day long in school. I don't want to hear it anymore. All right. Thank you, Mr. Michelle, for the changes. Could you repeat one more time? Can someone walk through with the back through Odell Road to go to Tommy's Tavern?
Yes, that's
Okay.
the intent of the
That's all I
sidewalk.
want. That's all I want to hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Or Bars or Noble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm seeing, only two questions, and I don't know if our next witness will cover that, but, with regards to the turning radius, what I'm seeing on the diagram presented is that the southern corner in the bottom right there is potentially the most difficult to get around out of all of them. Is that
You're
correct?
referring this corner here?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, well, what you're seeing there is the shaded portion is the actual vehicle, wheelbase, and then you'll
Okay.
see a dashed line that just kind of almost hits the curb.
Yeah.
That's the overhang of the truck itself.
Okay.
So just because of the length of it, and there's
Alright.
actually a bucket on the front of it, but.
So as long as we don't put a fire hydrant there, we'll be in good shape.
Yes, I'm not gonna put a light pole right there.
Okay. And then the second item there, also related to turning radius, is would a school bus fit through there also?
The fire truck's the bigger of the two vehicles, so if
Okay.
they can maneuver through the site, the school bus can certainly maneuver. through
Very
the site.
good. Thank you for that.
Yes.
The last question is, for me, is regarding the signs. I see on the last page of the packet that we were provided, there's the two signs there, the larger and the smaller. Could you just remind me where the larger sign is going, where the smaller sign is going?
The larger sign is when you come in off of one gate hall at the curve right here on Road A
Okay.
is the larger sign. And the smaller sign is if you were to come in through 3 gate hall at the T intersection with Road B. Right here is the smaller sign.
That's all my questions. Anyone else on the board? All right. Any questions from the general public for our engineer? All right, seeing none, we'll close that portion.
Okay, well,
Next expert.
subject into Mr. Michelle to be recalled if needed, and we'll bring up Mr. Doherty.
All right, Mr. Doherty. So as Mr. Doherty is coming up, because I'm a lawyer, I guess it's my job to make a few, well, good to see you. Do well tonight, I'll have to tell your mother if you don't. So, just a legal point that I want to make, just because that's what I do. We have some minor relief that we're seeking here from the board with regard to variances and waivers, not uncommon. Even with redevelopment plans, when you do the hard engineering, there's typically small deviations as there are here. As I pointed out in my opening statement, because this application is being made to pursuant to Parsippany's Affordable Housing Plan, there actually is a regulation, NJAC 5:93-10.1B, that provides in pertinent part. I just want to read it. It says municipalities shall be expected to cooperate with developers of inclusionary developments in granting reasonable variances necessary to construct the inclusionary development. So while we certainly don't feel that any of the variants here are a heavy lift, our view, I just wanted the board to be cognizant of the fact that when variances are being sought in connection with an inclusionary development, that there is some, I'll call it a lesser standard, or there is this imposed obligation on the board with respect to those variances to work with us. So that said, Mr. Doherty, welcome. Thank you. Why don't you raise your hand to be sworn in?
Okay, do you swear affirm to tell the truth for this planning board tonight?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Doherty, please state and spell your name for the record.
Alexander Dougherty, Dougherty.
All right, Mr. Doherty, can we have your qualifications on briefly?
Certainly. Licensed planner, education at Rutgers-Blaustein with a master's at Rutgers-Blaustein with a master's in city and regional planning, concentration development, and redevelopment certification public policy. I testify in this capacity on a weekly and daily basis. I've been before this board, more so your zoning board, and I would go
And your license to practice professional planning in the state of New Jersey is up to date?
Yes,
Checked your emails?
yes.
Okay. He knows when he shows in front of me, I always ask him that.
All right.
All right.
So we offer Mr. Doherty as an expert in planning, Mr. Chairman.
Any objections from the board? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Doherty, we have a few variances here, and de minimis exceptions and waivers. If you would kindly speak to those and provide the planning proofs.
Doherty, you got an exhibit you want to?
Yeah, I just have a brief exhibit of this current site. I know we're very familiar with it. If I could pass it around just for orientation purposes.
Right, we'll mark it as A14. And if you can just tell us, Alex, briefly what A14 is?
So A14 is drone photographs. It's a packet containing 4 slides taken today of the current site as it is out in the field for some orientation purposes of what's there and what we're proposing. As council indicated, we do have some minor relief, but I think certainly we can walk the board through that relief and kind of just keep in mind what's out there today and site betterment and the like.
All right, thanks, Mr. Doherty, go ahead.
Certainly. So again, the exhibit here is just 4 photographs, drone shots of the existing site. And as council indicated, this is part of the 4 Gate Hall Drive redevelopment plan. This does have a 20% set aside for inclusionary affordable housing, about 36 affordable rate units. Total project is 178 units here. With that, from a planning standpoint, I'd like to think this project is really in line with the greater undertone of the redevelopment plan here. This is a permitted use now within the zone, substantially complies with the bulk controls, the lot sizes, density, building heights, building lengths, building coverages, lot coverages, the setbacks on all sides, distance between buildings, parking supply. We're pretty much in compliance. We do have a few minor things here to go through. As you can see in the existing site here, it's the, really substantially vacant office building, large asphalt parking. This new plan has a compliant architectural and landscaping plan, as we just went through circulations and refuge and recycling. Really self-contained here, but yet integrates well with the site and surrounding. We have some relief, and I'll defer to the board planner for any that I missed. Upon my review, we have some relief related to slope disturbances of all 3 categories. I want to just emphasize this site is not natural, it's artificial. These disturbances, these slopes were made when this office complex was built. So to really redevelop this site in any capacity, I'm not a site engineer, but I like to think that we're going to be disturbing slopes here to some capacity. So we do have some disturbance related to the 15 to 20% category. We're at 0.15 acres versus the 0.06. I think that's the greatest degree of departure, which is also a smaller slope, if you will. We have a 20 to 25% range. We're at 0.07 acres versus the 0.03. And then the greater than 25% range, we're at 0.13 acres versus the 0.10 acres. So I like to think the greater departure is the smaller slope range. We do have some design exceptions for the sign setback of 10 feet versus 25. I know there was a brief discussion of whether that should be considered a variance. I believe it's a design exception. And again, that's internal to the site, only visible to the 3 Gate Hall access point, which is that smaller sign we just last discussed. And correct me if I'm wrong, council, we still have the RSIS exception for the sidewalk on the one side.
De minimis.
Yep, the minutes exception. And I believe we comply now with the parking requirements, so that one is off.
We do comply with the parking requirement.
Right. So for purposes of the planning, the bigger chunk of the variances here are those steep slope disturbances. But from a planning standpoint, we can justify this relief, what we call C relief. It's a lower tier. We can justify it as a C2. It's that flexible balancing test. The benefits of this application as a whole will substantially outweigh any detriments. And reminding the board, those benefits again come with affordable housing components and redeveloping the site and the improvements that come with that. So when we talk about those benefits, advancing the purposes of the redevelopment plan, again, it's really in conformance substantially with the intent of that plan. But the MLUL, we can advance purpose A as a project promotes the general welfare with new housing stock. This includes the realistic opportunity for the affordable housing in accordance with the town's housing element fair share plan. We have purpose G. The project promotes the planning goal to provide a variety of uses in appropriate locations according to the needs of Old New Jersey citizens, because it provides that inclusionary housing where the market and affordable units are integrated here. Again, there's a mix of affordable and market rate. Purpose I, the project promotes a desirable visual environment. I think it's really what this packet is really to reflect, is what's there today. We can turn that over to something more desirable. Also from an architectural standpoint and a landscape architectural standpoint, the site is unified, and, good sound planning, kind of chop up that asphalt and make more efficient use of that and greenify that area as well. Purpose M, to promote the planning goal for efficient use of land as it puts approved developable residential units here. The developer is ready, willing, and able. As we went through, multiple rounds of this application before the board, we're committed today, the applicant, to developing this project. So certainly more efficient use of land to provide that here. When I look at the potential detriments as it relates to these steep slopes, and again, these are isolated areas. They're artificial. They're man-made due to this office project. It's really pockets of it. When we talk about why we have steep slopes in the planning standpoint, it really is to prevent erosion and settlement, controls here. This is not your typical definition of steep slopes in that regards, and I think what the intent of an ordinance for steep slopes is really truly about. But nonetheless, we get an opportunity to stabilize that with best engineering practices and stabilize those slopes. When we look at the slope relief itself, I think it could be granted without substantial detriment. This site is going to be fully developed. It's not an isolated steep slope disturbance. It's a holistic approach here. It's not a detriment to the area or the zone plan or the surrounding, greater neighborhood here. With that being said, the benefits of this project certainly can outweigh that detriment. It provides for a better zoning alternative. Again, those steep slopes are not natural, but we could also justify this under that C1 category of a hardship because it relates to the features of the land itself. So again, that's why I opened up. To develop the site to some capacity, I'd like to think that we're going to disturb these slopes to some nature. So I'll leave it to the board, a C1 or a C2, but again, I think C2 is better off here for the conversation at hand. And then we have those design exceptions. That's a lesser tier relief here. They're more relaxed, lesser burden of proof than that tier relief. You really just have to kind of, talk about the reasonableness and the impracticality, is it impossible or reasonable? So design exceptions for the sign setback, I think is reasonable as it integrates into the overall site. It's really internal to that 3-gate hall access point. And I think strict literal enforcement of that ordinance or design component here is impractical. It serves no practical purpose. The sign still identifies, the intended user of traffic in that regards. And I really do defer to the engineers before me why their placement was there and the likes of that. As a planner, I do have to rely on my colleagues on that.
And
But
the size?
The size, yes.
The size was a variance, and you heard the testimony in which the engineer opined that the size of the signs being proposed are in accordance with and consistent with signs for similar types of developments?
Yes, and that's going to deferring to the professionals before me. Safety is paramount, so if, we don't want to put a sign that's too small, or we don't want to put a sign that's too large where it obstructs other visions and it becomes intrusive. So I'm going to leave it to my colleagues before me that the sign is appropriately sized and located within reason. Strict little enforcement serves no practical, advancement. I don't see any detriment with that. To conclude, really to wrap this up, this application provides a realistic opportunity for that affordable housing to help the town meet its obligation. Again, this site was a part of the third round that carried to the fourth, so it's a little bit overdue. We have a willing and able applicant to develop this site as the redevelopment plan intended. The relief sought is necessary to advance the good of the project. Again, it can be granted without any substantial detriment, and I believe the statutory criteria for relief would be met and approval would otherwise be warranted.
No further questions, Mr. Chair.
All right. Do our professionals have any questions for our expert?
No questions to the planner.
Just more a comment on steep slopes. I'm probably a subject matter expert on this because when I worked for city planning in New York, I work in the Staten Island office, and our major work was in the Special Natural Area District and the Hillside Preservation District. I have a feeling that's where these regulations come from. And I can tell you what the intent was, to protect natural steep slopes, not man-made. But the problem is when the code can't differentiate. It's just too difficult. So I think what Mr. Doherty had said, that he talked about the intent. I'm giving you my professional opinion based on my past experience. I agree with him. That said, you have these areas, and, the testimony's been provided, they'll work to stabilize them, but they are man-made. So that almost gets into a hardship. I mean, that's, to me, you inherited this. These didn't exist prior. We're not dealing with a mountain. These were made by prior owners. So, but I think the testimony overall is that they're going in the spirit. So I just wanted to just share that, because it's not too many times you have a guy from a New Jersey planner who kind of knows where this stuff came from. So
That's true.
anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions from members of the board?
I just have one.
Go ahead, Mr.
Is it
Napolitano.
possible that there's a program you guys could use where you take the plan and like what the house is supposed to look like, and then superimpose it like a before and after type thing? Is there a way to do that?
Yeah, we could do that. There's software.
I'm not, obviously not now, I'm just saying, is there a software that's available now?
I know I could do that in Photoshop. We can dim the back layer and superimpose the top one. I do know it's a rare request, no offense, because sometimes we're not an engineer, so it's kind of like illustrative purposes, and we don't want to accidentally, say this is what it will be and this is how it is, because it's not really, as a planner, our specialty. But going forward, I can certainly have the engineering staff and architects do that for our exhibits.
That'd be great. I think that's helpful for everybody. Just my thought.
I think
Thank
for
you.
coordination purposes, the pond's not changing, so,
Right.
if that helps.
No, I think, look, I mean, we see this big giant building and a very large parking lot, and we want to see what it might look like when this all finishes. The whole thing looks amazing to me, so. Just wonder if that's a possibility.
I can concur, it can be done.
Yeah.
But as Mr. Doherty said, these are illustrative. When you start getting into showing something that you are actually going to represent, that it looks like it, you must, it's a little more detailed. You have to go into scaling it to say, and use what equipment you use, what scale it's on. I used to do this a lot with telecom, doing photo simulations, and the testimony, we used to do visual impact studies, and we'd go into the methodology, into how it came about, how our graphic artists got these things. So, and this is going back 15 years, so the technology is advanced, it can be done, but it's not as simple as just flying a drone, let's put it that way.
That's great, thank you.
All right. Any other questions from the board? All right, seeing none, I'll open it up to questions from the general public. Seeing none, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Inglesino.
Mr. Chairman, can we impose upon you to take a 5-minute break?
Just to further
just
review
wanna-
the document?
Yeah, I just want to have a conversation with my client, Mr.
I
Michelle.
am open to that.
Thank you,
We'll
appreciate
meet
that.
back then.
Back on record.
Okay, time is 8:35. We're resuming our presentation. Mr. Inglesino, anything further from your witnesses?
Nothing further from the witnesses. I did have a chance to confer with Mr. Michello and my client, and the balance of the letter, the engineering letter from today is okay, is fine. We accept that. So I think that kind of concludes our case. If you want me to just do a quick closing, or I can do that after the board.
Would you like me to do comments first? That way you can address...
Comments from the public, yes.
Yeah, okay. Very good. At this point, we'll open the floor up to comments from the general public on any part of the application. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment. Please continue.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to thank the board. Mr. Mayor, thank you, the board professionals, for your time and attention to this application. I guess I kind of want to end where I started, which is thanking Council President Hernandez, Councilman Karifi, for working with us and the community. This is really a success story here. This is an office building that is antiquated, that is soon to be completely vacant, and Parsippany was able to marry its affordable housing requirement with a vacant office building, and to do it in a way that had support from the neighbors. Councilwoman Hernandez, Councilman Karifi had put together community meetings over a year ago with the neighbors so that this project was conceptualized as a community effort between the neighborhood and the applicant and the owner. So we feel that the process worked really, really well. Since there is some press here, I want to make clear for the fact that although this is a redevelopment plan, these are for sale townhomes, no pilots involved here. The reason why this is a redevelopment plan is because the board's prior planner insisted upon it so that the residential would be confined only to the property at issue here and not to other, would not be creating residential rights in other properties in the zone. So that's why the redevelopment process was utilized. I know Toll Brothers is very excited to be here in Parsippany. This is truly one of America's great home builders, a luxury home builder, and this is going to up the stock, the housing stock in Parsippany, modernize it, and really be something good, which we feel will be good for not only revenues but also for property values in the area. You know, the project itself, you're familiar with. It's in accordance with the redevelopment plan. You know, we are accepting of the comment letters, the review, the questions, with the exceptions of the few comments that I made at the beginning here. There are a lot of conditions that we'll work with Joe to make sure are included in the resolution. One that I did not want to go unmentioned tonight was that the applicant will agree to make Title 39 applicable within the development if that's what the governing body wants. And again, Title 39 would simply authorize and deputize the police department to enforce local ordinances, rules and regulations on private roads. And so that's a fairly popular thing that's done between municipalities and homeowner associations, so we want to make sure that, you know, this applicant would be agreeable to doing that. Other than that, I don't want to go through all of the testimony in the application. I think you all are familiar with it. Just to say that I know Toll Brothers is excited to be coming to Parsippany with your support. Thank you again for your time and attention, and we hope that you'll support this project enthusiastically.
Very good. Thank you very much. At this point, I'll open it up to the board for any deliberation on this application.
I'll make a comment,
Go ahead, Mr. DiPiero.
if I may. Yeah, in all the years I've served on council and the planning board, meeting our affordable housing obligation was always apartments. I am so happy to see we're meeting part of that obligation with townhomes owned by the residents that are going to purchase them. That's a first in Parsippany. I hope we get more of these and no more, in my personal opinion, no more apartments.
I agree completely, Mr. DiPiero. Thank you for saying that. All right. Any other members of the board with any comments? Okay. I'll open the floor to any, oh, geez, my words are escaping me right now. Any motion? Any motions? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Mr. Dedich.
a motion to approve application number 26:502, Toll NJ 1 LLC, 4 Gethall Drive, Block 175, Lot 52, Zone ROL. Preliminary and final major site plan with C variance and major soil moving permit for construction of a 178 multi-family inclusionary townhome development with surface parking facilities, amenities, and landscaping.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Are there any members of the board that have any questions or comments?
We have to put all the add-ons,
With the
all the
conditions.
conditions.
Okay,
With the conditions of approval, with, Title 39, with the, there will be a developers agreement. Easements will be, provided to my office for review, that, the applicant will comply with the review letters of the board planner and the board engineer as revised through current, with the exceptions that are placed on the record. And Attorney Inglesino, I'm sure, will catch me on any other conditions of approval.
And we have, by the way, we've had transcribers, and we'll have transcripts. We'll provide those to Mr. Wenzel, and we'll make sure that the resolution covers any other conditions that may have come up that, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure Attorney Inglesino keeps copious notes of these things.
Mr. Miller keeps better notes than I do, but we also will have the transcripts.
There was one about the garage doors, and you work with the professionals. If I remember, the architect was
Yeah.
very kind about that. And said,
Well, exactly, there we go. I knew if I had looked at my notes more completely. So with the condition of approval with the garage doors, to work with board,
Create some
professionals.
variety
Right.
on the doors. Maybe
Right.
some windowed, maybe some not, it just to create some variety.
Right, but
there, yeah.
in essence, working with the board professionals
Yep.
with regard to that. I think Mr. Deitch, who moved it, and who's second?
Mr. Shaw.
Okay, I think both parties would agree to add those on to their motion, right?
Absolutely,
Yes.
yes.
You didn't want to repeat all that?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so.
Okay.
Right. Roll call. Desai. Mayor Desai.
Roll call?
Roll call.
Yes.
Deitch.
Yes.
DePiero.
Yes,
Dinsmore.
Yes.
Napolitano.
Yes.
Patel.
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes.
Von Aiken.
Yes. Congratulations.
Okay,
Great, thank you all very much.
that concludes our agenda for tonight. I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion.
Motion.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
Now you guys all gotta stay in.
All right, picture time, everyone.
You all gotta smile.
How do you want us to get organized?
Hold all this paperwork.
Hand it to Nora.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I see that one at the back there.
Hang on to your
Back.
record.
Come back, yeah, save that one.
Go away.
Hang on to your record.